everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Colette from Witchways, and today I want to share from my personal practice and talk to you about the ways that I work with uncertain or difficult or crazy times in my life as a witch. I'm going to share two stories from my past that were really profound for me, that were big aha moments, and they profoundly shaped my magic. I don't know that the algorithm is going to love this one. It's not typically traditional, so I would really appreciate it, because I feel like this is important to say, if you would hit the like button and comment or put an emoji in the comments section so that it can get some traction. I hope this is helpful to you. All right, both of these stories are really about hope and personal power and authority. And I think it's appropriate that I'm sharing this at spring equinox, because spring equinox is all about rebirth and hope. And it's hard to have hope when things are seeming really crazy in the world. I don't know about you, but I am just feeling often very overwhelmed and very worried for myself and my friends, for people of color, for trans people, and all the other people who are most vulnerable right now. So this story starts in the 90s when a friend of mine came back from another country, having witnessed something that was incredibly horrible and had a really horrible experience herself. And that thing that she witnessed was carried out by paramilitary groups that were funded and trained in the United States. And I was really young. I had always known that we had bad policies abroad. I was opposed, but this was the first time I actually had to sit with the fact that my money had gone to fund these horrific things that happened to people, because before that I was too young to pay taxes. So not long after that, I went to a big witch camp, and we were brainstorming magic that we could do to help ourselves, help the world, because as usual, crazy things were happening. And evening rituals were a really big part of our day. And we would get together, celebrate, raise some energy to support ourselves and others, or invoke the spirits for help with what we were doing on our personal path and in the world. And that evening's ritual was supposed to be about self-care. We gathered together around a bonfire and raised a ton of energy really fast, unusually fast. And just before the energy peaked, 3 people stepped out of the shadows with 5-gallon buckets of water, dumped them on the fire, putting the bonfire completely out. The lead priestess stepped forward and she said, "This is what patriarchy in Western culture does to you every day. Take 5 minutes, go for a little walk, talk to your spirit guides, and come back with 5 simple things that you could do every way to keep your fire burning." Now, bless their hearts, I'm sure it was a well-intentioned ritual, and I have to say that as I've gotten older, I feel like those 5 simple things, like being in my home, caring for my cat, going for walks, being in nature, really do help me. But for what I was feeling in that moment, like having someone come back and say, "I like to brush my hair in the morning," was just not gonna cut it. So I was left feeling pretty outraged and pretty upset. I was really young, and what I felt in that moment was just hopeless. And maybe this wasn't the best planned ritual, maybe it was a little heavy-handed. I actually thought it was just crazy at the time, but I did try to go away and put it out to my spirit guides and see if I got anything back, and I didn't. After several months, I did start to get pieces of a vision that eventually solidified into something I could work with. And that vision didn't make me feel better about what was happening in the world or make it all okay. But it did give me a source of strength to draw on when I was feeling hopeless or in despair. And it helped me bring that hope into my witchcraft. So the vision they gave me and the words that they spoke were that there is a big lie at the center of the life we are living, and that lie is that we are small and powerless and that we can't make a difference, which was exactly how I felt in that moment. And I actually felt complicit. And I'm sure that many of us might be feeling that way again now. And the picture that they gave me, though, was of the earth as a vital, deep, and powerful green living being. That lie that we were being told was like the thinnest layer of old shellac that was cracked and ready to go. And that we could draw on the power of the earth to crack that lie wide open. And that image did not fix things. It didn't make things okay, but it became an external power source that I could draw on in my magic that was bigger than me, that could help me feel not as small and powerless. And I didn't just have to use my own personal emotional reserves to do this work. And so I like to think of that as, you know, how if we ground and draw up energy for our spells or raise energy from our spells, we're kind of drawing it from outside forces so that we don't deplete our vital force in our physical body. And I thought of this as the same way of drawing on external power that I could use to not be spending my emotional resources to work through this and do the magic. It just was really helpful. What I learned from that is that when I am doing magic for change or something that just seems too big for me to manage on my own, I can say something like, I call on the green, deep, living power of the earth, and I ask for this change or this support with the authority of that power and all living beings. And maybe that vision is something different for you. Maybe the thing that gives you that bigger external emotional support that feeds your personal authority is something different. Maybe it's the galaxy floating through the universe as it dances with the moon and stars. Maybe it's something else entirely. But in order to stand in our personal authority, I think it's helpful to have that vision, because often when people did spells in the past, the first thing they started out with is by what authority they did this work. And that might in the past have been calling on deities. And that is another option for you, calling on deities to help be a bigger source of power for you. And recently it occurred to me, and not for the first time, that the difficulties and craziness we were experiencing might be tied to another one of spring's powers, which is birth and rebirth. And the things that we're experiencing right now are some of the last vestiges, I hope, of the old ways that we have to let go of, that as people we are experiencing the birth pangs of new things trying to be born. And of course that's going to be difficult. And we can call on the powers of spring to gently help us move forward. Early spring plants are tough. They're very fierce. They have to be to survive through harsh times. So when you're making altars for protection for yourself or protection for those who are most vulnerable, you can put some of those spring flowers on your altar to help bring some of that power of survival and hope into your magic. Spring is the time of new life and rebirth. So the other story that I want to share is about ancestors and the fierceness of the maternal desire to protect their offspring. And I know that many ancestors are problematic, and your mother may or may not have been a good mother with that fierce maternal instinct. However, when you look back through the millennia, you have thousands of years of ancestors who would give their lives to make sure that you survived and thrived. And this was really brought home to me one day when I was out in my garden working. At the time, I had a huge garden, and so I had laid down cardboard with mulch over it to help keep it manageable. As I was hoeing up weeds in the garden one day, a tiny little garter snake rose up and started pacing back and forth in front of me. She was hissing and drawing a very clear line, a very clear boundary, and it was kind of one of those "you shall not pass" moments. So I thought, okay, I'll go in, I'll take a little break, this is her spot, and when I come back, maybe she'll have moved somewhere else to be taking her little nap in the sun. So I took a break, I came back and started moving towards the spot from the other side of the garden. And as I pulled up a huge piece of cardboard, I saw that mother snake wrapped around a bunch of little tiny baby snakes, and she immediately rose up and was ready to fight me. She couldn't have been longer than 6 to 8 inches long and the width of a pencil, and yet she was ready to take me on, me and my hoe, and do whatever she had to do to protect her young, even though it must have seemed impossible to her. And that's the day I really understood that maternal power of protection and strength, and how it will stand up in the face of insurmountable odds to protect those in need. And our ancestors had that, and it's in our bodies. We are animals. We can use this fierceness to protect those in need and ourselves. So now I call on my animal friends and the ancestors when I am doing protection work for those who are most vulnerable, or for myself. I know that this force is in my body at the level of DNA, and even though I'm not a mother, and even though you might not have had a good mother or a good grandmother or a good great-grandmother, that force is still present in your body because it is an animal instinct, and it doesn't go away, and you can channel that magic into your protection for yourself, for those most vulnerable, and into magic for your community. So I hope that me sharing these stories helped spark some ideas for you about different ways you can use the power of spring in your magic, and also about visions that you might seek to help support your emotional and personal authority. I just hope this can be a jumping off point for you, not that those exact visions I shared will be exactly what will work for you. Please remember to like and comment. Please share things that help you, so as a community we can do some brainstorming around this. And thank you all so much for those who always comment and like on my videos. I see you and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. As always, please check my description for special promotions and bonus benefits for my Patreon account. And if you want to get my monthly newsletter, sign up from the link in my description as well. All right, thank you all so much. Stay safe and be well.